David, I want to ask you about your examination of Jonathan Diamandis, and I found this to be so classy, number one. And this is for you, those of you in the chat who don't remember, he was Proctor's friend who was on the group text thread with Proctor when Proctor said all of those horrific things about Karen and started talking about the case and the family secrets. And you brought him on only, I think, to authenticate the messages. The messages were already in evidence. The jury was going to be able to bring them back. And then Hank gets up. Were you surprised by what happened next? Because you just asked him very few questions to authenticate the messages, and that was it. You didn't ask him to read a thing.
Once it became clear that the DA really was not going to call the lead investigator, it was imperative for us to get those text messages into evidence. That was integral to our defense. And, if we couldn't get them in through any other witness, we may have been in a position where we had to call Michael Proctor. And boy, we didn't want to. We had him under subpoena, but I did not want to put him on the stand. And I said in open court, what I had been thinking, what we all had been thinking behind the scenes, which is that, we would, even if we were able to have him qualified as a hostile witness and lead him on direct, Hank Brennan would be able to cross-examine him, and he'd essentially be able to give two closing arguments in the trial. And he would necessarily, because he's a skilled lawyer, somewhat rehabilitate Michael Proctor, who, through that point in the trial, there was no sympathy for him in that courtroom at all. So we wanted to desperately avoid that. Now, so I'm balancing that against the fact that I have, these four innocent, friends of his from high school on the thread under subpoena. I did something that I really haven't done in any other case. I could have forced them all to show up in court. Some of them had, legitimate reasons why it would be a hardship. And none of them wanted to be there. I wouldn't have wanted to be there if I were them. They had been anonymous in trial one, and I'm sure they hoped they'd be anonymous in trial two, but it was what it was. I mean, we didn't have a choice. We needed to get them into evidence. So